Your college child that left you last August or last September is a different person than whenever they're coming home in May.
100%.
100%. So my advice to you, and just so y'all know, I did not do this, but as I got this question, I thought this would have been a great thing to do. So I think you should ask your college student, like, either before they get home or whenever they get home that first week, just say, like you and your husband, just sit down with them and just say, hey, we're so glad you're home. But what was your first year like? Like, I know you've grown so much in the first year.
Yeah.
What's something that you learned? What was the highs? What was the low? You know, what did you learn about yourself? In what area did you have to really dig in and just go to a deeper level than you've ever had to before, whether it's studies or friends or fitting in, finding your niche, whatever. Like, let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome to Wire Talk. Well, today I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about welcoming your college-age student back home. And what do you expect? You know, this is a time as moms that we are almost walking on eggshells, like, what's it going to be like? All of that. What should I expect? What should I not expect? And today we're just going to sort of answer some of those questions, and I think it's going to help. Let's get going.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wire Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily, and I'm so happy you're here. How are you, Mom? Karen Stubbs.
I'm doing so good. And look, we sort of matched today, our blues.
Well, thanks. You know, you told me yesterday, you're like, I'm going blue. So I was like, sounds good. So I looked in my closet and I said, what still fits? And this works. So it was like, perfect.
And in case people don't know why things don't fit, what's your big news?
Pregnant.
Yes, due in August.
Due in August.
Little baby girl.
I know, it's going to be so exciting.
It's going to be so exciting.
Harper, we were on a cruise for spring break. And then we went out of Port Canaveral, which was so fun. But it's only like an hour away from Disney. And
y'all cannot be that close without going to Disney.
I mean, I can, but Brian can't.
No.
But I mean, I say that, but we had a great time. And literally, we'd get in the line for a ride. How many? And we'd be 4. And she goes, but it's almost 5 because Mommy's pregnant and it's a girl. And I was like, yes, I am.
She's
Thank you.
So excited. I just love it so much.
She's so excited. She's going to be such a good big sister.
She is.
And I'm thrilled and very excited as well. So it's going to be a fun season.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going a little bit the opposite of this episode.
The opposite, yeah.
I'm going back to newborn stage, and this is about preparing your house for college reentry.
Yeah.
So, but you know, motherhood is just
it's
forever
never
evolving.
ending.
Is that
That's
evolving?
right.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Ever evolving is right.
You looked at me like, no, that's not the right word.
No, I was scratching my face.
Oh, okay.
I had a little itch.
Well, there
Emily.
you go. We're
Yeah.
allowed to do that.
But you know, college reentry is really a thing.
Yeah.
And
Pull
especially
your mic a little closer to you.
Oh, okay. Like
There you
that?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to hear you.
Yes, college reentry is really a thing. I mean, and especially if they're your first one to go to college, like you've never done it. So you can be as a mom a little apprehensive during this season.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Erin Michelle, who's our newest staff member, her son is getting ready to come back, and she's like, hey, will you do a podcast on this? Because I've got some questions. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I love it that all moms out there, they want to do it right.
Yeah.
Not that there's a right or a wrong way, but, you know, it might just feel good to get some answers to your questions, and just we could sort of, you know, just settle everybody in and be like, hey, it's going to be okay.
Well, typically, Kelsey's usually your guinea pig for this. Not necessarily, but like the first
Well,
you
the
do times
firstborn,
things.
sure.
But Kelsey's situation was a little different because she went to TCU, only stayed for a semester, and then she stayed in Texas.
She did.
And then I was really the first one that went away from college and then came back home during the summers.
Yeah.
So
She came back that first Christmas, but then she stayed in Texas after that.
That was the first summer.
That's right. You were the first summer,
So,
Emily. You were the first.
That's
Emily.
right. I was the first at something. So
Yeah.
there you go. I got to win at something.
That's right.
But, you know, I'm just curious. Did it feel weird? Like with me, I'm a natural homebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just curious. Did it feel weird, like me coming home? What were you expecting it to be like, and what did it end up feeling like?
It didn't feel weird at all with you because you are my green and so laid back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, not to make it about you, but when Kelsey came home for that first Christmas, she was such a force in the house, being our red, blue. And I know she was like, wait a minute, what happened to Emily? Because you really blossomed.
I really grew up.
You really did. When Kelsey went to college, you just sort of came out of your shell and just like, boo, there's like this new and improved version of Emily. I don't know. We were all like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it really took Kelsey off guard.
I don't think I've ever known that.
Yeah. And she was like, what happened to Emily? And I'm like, well, you left. So you sort of gave her leaving sort of gave you permission to sort of fill up the space.
Yeah.
And you and Taylor got very close while she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't love that. She got sort of jealous, like, wait a minute. Now I'm always the favorite. And now Emily's the favorite. What's going on? She wasn't jealous at all, but she definitely saw the difference in you.
So it wasn't just a different dynamic between mother and daughter, but it really changed the dynamic of the family.
Of the whole family.
So you had a lot going on.
Yeah, but it was really good. So then I think whenever you went to college, to answer your question, I was sort of excited to see what's going to happen now with Taylor and Abby. I thought they would get really close, but they didn't. So
They didn't.
Just keeping it real, people. Just keeping it real. It took them until Abby almost, when she got married, that's whenever they got close.
Well,
So,
that's okay though.
At least it happened.
That's right. You always tell us you've got to work on that yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Like our siblings' relationship.
It's between the two of y'all, not me.
We get that question a lot. How
We
do
do.
you get the children close? How did you do that? I make them work it out. I
Yeah.
make them figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you came in when it was necessary, but
Well, when blood was about to be drawn,
Yeah.
I would enter the room.
but
But let's talk about these. These are some great
these are
questions.
some really great questions. So, all right. Also, I know you said complimented my outfit, but I know you're yellow. You look so cute, Mom.
Thank you. This is what I was going to wear for SOAR.
I know. And you said morning of.
No, y'all, listen. The girl that was there to do my makeup, hey, Annie, if she's listening, I come out and I've got this on. And I said, well, what do you think? And she goes, well, and I said, okay, well, that's all I needed to hear. This is not what I'm wearing today. And sometimes we wake up and the outfit that we've chosen is not the right one for the day. So luckily for me, I had just bought something else.
Really cute outfit.
To wear to Tennessee whenever I was going to go speak. And so I just grabbed that, put it on. And I was so glad that she liked it because those were my only two choices.
Well, I really like it because the shirt, the jacket
Yeah.
is definitely more formal, but I kind of like the way you've dressed it down a little bit.
Oh, with my sneakers
yeah, and you're
jeans.
just so cute. You're
Y'all,
so cute,
thanks.
Mom. My
I don't know
goodness.
why. Getting a compliment from my girls on my outfit just makes my day.
Well, I'm just so glad to make
It
your
just
day.
makes my day. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You ready to answer these questions?
I am ready now that
We're
my
on
love cup
cloud nine.
is filled up.
There you
Oh
go.
my
And
gosh.
that wasn't even planned.
I just love it so
Well,
much.
very good. All right. Well, the first thing's about expectations. So let's go into these questions.
Let's get it.
Hey moms, take a minute with me and imagine this if you can. Ocean breezes, warm sunshine on your face, maybe the cry of a seagull in the distance, and a getaway designed just for you. Join us next year for Soar at Sea, The Confident Mom, a life-giving conference set on a cruise. Laugh with friends, learn from Karen, and be encouraged in your motherhood journey and reminded that God is with you and will equip you for the incredible calling of being a mom. It's your chance to step away, recharge, and set sail with confidence. Now, spots are limited, so head to soaratsea.com to grab your spot today. That's SOARATSEA.com. Find that link and more details in the show notes today. Okay, let's get back to the show.
Question 1. What can I do to prepare my expectation for my son or daughter coming home from college for the summer?
Yeah. Well, I think first off, as a mom, you just have to acknowledge that him or her coming back into your house is not going to look the same as whenever they left. And sometimes for us as moms, that's a really hard thing to embrace because, we don't like change all the time.
Nope.
We want things to be the same and to always feel the same and all that. And it doesn't. But you know what, moms? I just want to tell you this. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes change is a good thing. So just embrace it and don't fight it. It doesn't always have to look the same. because your family is growing and it's just ever changing. So just embrace that one thought. So that's where I wanted to start. Change is not always bad. So your college child that left you last August or last September is a different person than whenever they're coming home in May.
100%.
100%. So my advice to you, and just so y'all know, I did not do this, but as I got this question, I thought this would have been a great thing to do. So I think you should ask your college student, like either before they get home or whenever they get home that first week, just say, like you and your husband, just sit down with them and just say, hey, we're so glad you're home. But what was your first year like? Like, I know you've grown so much in the first year.
Yeah.
What's something that you learned? What was the highs? What was the low? You know, what did you learn about yourself? In what area did you have to really dig in and just go to a deeper level than you've ever had to before, whether it's studies or friends or fitting in, finding your niche, whatever. Like, let's talk about it. And then, like, listen to what they're saying and then just say, well, when you were gone, this is sort of what we had to grow through. Like, we missed you, you know, the dynamic of you being gone from the family. It was just sort of weird at first, but we did sort of grow and adjust. And like, I think that would have been cool if I would have told Kelsey, well, I did end up telling Kelsey, like, Emily bloomed while you were gone. And so that's been sort of fun watching her do that. And then she was like, that is good that Emily bloomed.
Yeah.
Like, I do remember having that conversation with Kelsey because she was like, what happened to Emily when I left? And I said, well, you weren't here. And so she just sort of came into herself, you know, because she sort of always was a ever present.
I was Kelsey's shadow.
Pretty much.
Not by her doing, by my doing.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
I felt comfortable. I was like, I'll just do whatever Kelsey does.
Because the green.
Yeah.
So, but
Also,
I think
she's my
that would
big
be,
sister.
I think that would be really great to start the conversation there. And then I would just sort of go in and say, okay, well, we're super glad you're home. This is going to be a fun summer, but we just want to sort of go through a few, not even rules, but just sort of ground rules of what we're expecting for the summer. So I would really encourage your college student to get a job, whether it's an internship that they can apply for their, you know, that'll help with their college degree. All of y'all worked.
We did.
That was a great thing because it kept you busy. There's nothing worse than a college-age person, 19 years old, laying around the house, watching TV, playing video games, not contributing. It's not their vacation. You know, just say, hey, you got to work, you know, in whatever way you want to do it. All of y'all had like internship type of things. But I would encourage them to get a job. I would encourage them to make as many family dinners as they can. Hey, we understand you're an adult, you've got your friends, you want to see friends from high school, you've got things you want to do, but we are still a family and we would love to have you here as much as you can be here. I always stressed a curfew.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did, because I was just like, you can't, I know at college y'all could come in at 2 a.m. in the morning. I didn't know about it. I didn't care about it, but now you're home and I can't go to sleep till all my chickens are in the house. That's just the way I was. I didn't apologize for it either.
No.
Basic stuff like laundry and putting their dishes in the dishwasher and not just in the sink.
You had this conversation with me 3 weeks ago.
Yes, I did.
Emily, it goes in the dishwasher. Okay, Mom.
Well, I mean, you know, y'all come over and we're having such a great time. And then you leave and all these dishes are in the sink. And I'm like,
You don't want to do our dishes?
Yeah, the dishwasher is empty. So put the dish in the dishwasher. But Taylor was the worst with this. You know, he would just dump all of his laundry, or he would leave it all in his room, just scattered about for a week at a time. And I'm like, this is gross. This might be how you lived in the dorm. This is not how we do this in my house. So Taylor, knock it off. Start your laundry. And then he did. He would. But I just think we have to communicate. So as a mom, we have to realize that these children are no longer children. They are adults.
Yeah.
They've been living independently. They have been doing their own thing. So we got to give them the space that they need and the respect that they need. So stop looking at them as a child and start looking at them as an adult. A young adult, but still an adult.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, you prepared the adults.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for the other kids, for their older siblings coming home?
That's a good question too. So I just think once again, you sit down with them and be like, all right, what did this past year look like for y'all? Did y'all miss your brother, your sister? How did you feel when they left? How are you feeling now that they're coming home? Do you have any apprehensions? Let's talk about it as a family. And you can do this before they come back, just so they feel free to talk about it. And then now like, I'd ask them, what are you excited about them coming home for? What do you want to do? And I will say that Kelsey, especially when she came in, she loved to take y'all to dinners and go get your nails done. And I think she missed all of us so much because she was so far away in Texas that she was like, oh my goodness, I want to treat everybody and do. You remember all that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I would just talk that through with them. Like, what does this look like for you with them coming back? And then I would share that with the college student coming home. Like, they're excited to go get ice cream at night and they want to have movie nights. And you don't have to do all these things, but these are the things that your siblings are looking forward to.
Yeah. I kind of wish you would have done that.
Yeah.
Just because I did grow up so much, and like my junior year, going into junior year of high school was the year Kelsey left.
Yeah.
And that is the year that my core group of friends really developed.
Yes.
And then Kelsey kind of got sad.
She did.
When she came home, because she's like, Emily has,
she has so many friends.
She has so many friends. Because I really did. But also, she was my best friend before she left. And she still was. But I'm like you.
It was different.
I have like 12 best friends.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to hang out with all of them. And in my head, Kelsey's already at the house, but I'm going to miss out. That yellow in me kicked in hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to miss out because I'm finally in with a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it did take some adjustment. But ended up, you kind of told me that adjusted my expectations too. Like, hey, you'd still need to invest in your sister.
Yeah.
But Kelsey, you also need to let her have some of her free time.
That's right.
So it was good.
Yeah.
And it was a learning
curve, everyone. Yeah.
So perfect. All right. This one kind of goes back to one, but still a really good question. What's reasonable to ask my college student while they're home, like chores, balancing time with friends and family, or how do they manage their or your money?
Yeah. Well, it does sort of go back to number one, but I would just keep it in mind that it's your house.
Yeah.
And, you still set the tone in the pace of that house. But you do need to look at them as an adult more than a child and just set clear expectations.
You and Dad were really good at like, hey, you can choose not to work, but like we've said, because going in, you're like, this is how much money we're giving to you towards college. And if you want to do anything fun, you can't work at school. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I really think I sort of learned that from my growing up. And, my parents did it great or whatever, but they just always gave me money. I didn't have to work. So that whenever I first got married, right out of college, Greg and I got married, I just did not have any concept of money at all.
Yeah.
And it really was to my detriment. So I just thought, I don't want my kids to be like that.
Right.
We paid for your school. We paid for your books. We paid for room and board and all that.
I did not pay for my books.
Oh, we didn't?
No, you didn't.
Sorry, Emily.
No. You paid for my tuition, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
Out of state, I might add.
Yes, out of state, and I 100% I would agree with that and appreciate it. But no, I paid for my books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we paid for your school. We paid for your room and board and all that fun stuff. But we just said all your extra money, you got to earn.
Yeah.
And y'all did that, every one of y'all.
Yeah. It was a very good life lesson.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
probably a hard one.
It was very hard. But you know what? I can see why you did it now because I'm like looking back, y'all weren't going to let me fail.
No.
You know what I mean? Y'all would have helped me if I had no money, which, I graduated with like $12 to my bank account. But you know what? I made it. So I know how to stretch a dollar. I know how to stretch a dollar.
Yes, you do.
And I still know how to stretch a dollar.
You do. You do.
All right. Next question. How do I handle my own emotions when my college kid doesn't want to join all of the family plans?
Yeah, this one's hard. And I think it's the hardest thing of all because us mamas, we have a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And I think we think about like the whole year while the college student's gone, we think, oh, when they come home, we're going to bond. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. It's going to be so amazing. We're going to be the best family. And then they come back and it doesn't quite work out that way. So my best advice for us sweet mamas out there, and I would be in this category too, we need to learn how to enjoy our college student for who they're turning into be as an adult.
So great.
And listen, guys, sometimes that's a hard thing to do because maybe they've decided this new way to style their hair or to dress. And we're like, oh, I don't love that, but we just need to sort of embrace it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
And so we just need, or sometimes they've developed this odd sense of humor, or I don't know, but they're just sort of trying to figure out who they are. And we just need to accept them for who they are, if that makes sense. I'm not talking about like moral issues or anything like that. I'm just talking about the adult that they're sort of morphing into.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember Taylor came home from college. Can't remember when it was, but he's been around all of his bros,
Yeah.
And he made all these really dumb jokes all the time. And you let Taylor be Taylor, but then he made a couple of them and you're like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Like that joke isn't funny.
Well, it wasn't appropriate.
It wasn't appropriate
in
around
company and all that. Yeah.
So, and you said, I can't control what you say around your friends, but that's not appropriate.
We
here.
lived in a fraternity house.
Yeah.
And I was just like, stop.
Yeah.
But I will say Taylor learned how to swing dance at Auburn.
He did.
And Taylor, anytime he comes back into the house, like a lot of music comes with him, noise comes with him, a lot of activity comes with Taylor.
Yes.
So I just learned to be like, Taylor's home, so the house is going to be a little bit more lively,
Yep.
And sometimes I'd be in the kitchen, he'd just come in, crank up the music, and just start swing dancing me around the kitchen. I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. That's what I mean by just embracing, like, this is sort of a cool thing that my son or daughter or whatever is sort of developed into, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So, that's what I mean. Just sort of accept them as adults and who they are.
And I think you kind of got used to your morning routine.
Yes.
And then we'd come in and you kind of had to adjust your expectations, but you didn't fight it. You know what I mean? You
I tried not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, it's just different, but it is a good difference.
But I will acknowledge being a yellow, change doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So all the greens and the blues out there, change does bother them.
Yeah.
So it might be a little harder for you guys. And I just want to acknowledge that. So that doesn't mean you're wrong, but it just means there is change coming because they've changed, we've changed, and we just need to embrace it.
Bring it on in.
Bring it on.
All right. Well, Mom, I said at the very beginning, this is going to be a long episode because there's 6 questions, but this is our last one.
Well, it's really flown by.
I know. I've enjoyed talking about it.
I know,
And
right?
not even in this season. That's probably why it's so fun for me to talk about. All right. Is it okay to tell my college kid how their actions made me feel? If so, what's the best way to do that?
Yes.
This is my favorite question, I think.
And I'll tell you why it's okay. It's absolutely okay because they are an adult and you are having more of an adult relationship with them. So just like any adult in your life, you need to say and be honest, hey, that hurt my feelings. Or I didn't like the way you reacted to me in that because I don't think I deserved that.
Right.
And you say it in love. And when is the best time to say it? Not when you're in the heat of the moment. But I do remember one time Taylor he had had a really bad day. And we were on the phone and he was just not being nice to me at all. And I just said, you know what, Taylor, I can tell you've had a really bad day. So I'm going to hang up the phone because you're just basically verbally abusing me here. And I'm not going to take it. Like, I'm sorry you had a bad day, but I have bad days too. And I don't take it out on you. And he goes, fine. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Love ya. And he did call me the next day and he goes, I'm really sorry. And I said, I appreciate you apologizing. And I know we all have bad days and we can't stop that, but it's not right to take your bad day out on another person that had nothing to do with it. And he goes, you're right, Mom. And so I just think, and there's a lot of things, like, I know you in college, you were dating a guy that we loved and then we ended up not loving and all that. And I did voice to you like, hey, I see these signs, these red flags. And you were like, well, I don't see that. I love him. This is my guy. And I'm like, okay. And so then I was just like, you know what, God, I'm going to pray about it.
Yeah.
And I did pray about it for a long time. And eventually your eyes were opened and it all worked out. But I just think we can't shy away from saying what needs to be said.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. When you started saying that, I thought of, this was right before I broke up with the guy. And I was not in a good spot.
Right.
Let's just call a spade. I was in a very not great spot. And I yelled at you for something.
Yeah.
And you just said, hey, I don't know what's going on with you because you don't talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
But this is not okay.
Yeah.
And then it was like that moment. And instant.
Tears.
The floodgates open.
Yes.
And it was 8 months of me just pushing it down and just trying to figuring out myself. And I just, and all of your prayers were just like solidified.
Yeah.
And I finally saw what y'all were saying and I was finally open to hearing it. But, you gave me the space to struggle with that, even though you didn't, you were there.
Yeah.
Spiritually, mentally. Physically, you weren't because I pushed you away.
Right.
But you were there. And then when I finally needed you, you were still always my mom.
Right.
And then when I kind of was really ugly to you, you're like, knock it off.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then that's when it all came out. But, I think it's so good because you could have continued to let me act the brat I was being.
Right.
But you loved me enough to be like, hey, like, I know you're going through some stuff and that's fine, but you can't take it out on me. I'm not your punching bag.
Well, and that's hard, but I could see that you were struggling really bad, but I just thought, like I've talked about a lot in Birds on a Wire, we have to allow our children to grow and learn on their own because God is working on y'all.
Yeah.
And if I keep getting in the way and making it softer and don't worry about it, it's okay. God's like, if you would just move, I would work this out. And I'm so glad God worked it out in your life because you grew from it. You changed direction on your own.
Yeah.
And now you live a totally different life. And because he guided you through it.
For sure.
So as a mom, we have to trust in the Lord that he's going to do his work, but also we have to be true to who we are. And whenever our child is lashing out at us, we have to say, no, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to accept that.
Yeah.
But so many times a mom's like, well, I don't want to push him away. I'll just keep taking it. But no, nobody needs to be anybody else's punching bag.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
On the other end of it, I think it does help because they can see, that
we really love them.
You really loved me enough to not let me act like that.
Yeah.
And, I think it's also good to hear that, like, you allowed me to work it through and you allowed God to be God.
Yeah.
You didn't try to be God in my relationship.
Right.
And anyways, that could be a whole nother podcast episode.
Whole nother podcast.
There you go. All right. We'll have to save that one for a Patreon. I feel like
there
that's a
you
Patreon
go.
episode.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, anyways, that's it for all the questions. Is there anything lasting that you want to end with this episode to these moms or anyone who's listening today?
Well, let's see. When does this air? When does this date? 4/29. So they're coming home in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I would just start praying now.
Good idea.
God, help me not have very low expectations, but help me stay strong and connected to you, Lord, so I can hear your voice. And whenever you're telling me to be quiet and don't say this, I'm quiet. Or whenever you're telling me to speak up, I speak up. And God, I just pray for my son. I pray for my daughter as they reenter. And just know, reentry is difficult, whether it's between a husband and a wife, a child and a parent, whatever. It's just difficult, but you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Wire Talk. I just love the community that Birds on a Wire has built through this podcast. It's so encouraging to see how many people have shared episodes with other people who are like, hey, I found this on Instagram or YouTube. But thank you so much for reaching out and being a part of our show. We couldn't do it without you. And if you have any thing that you want to like, share, or comment, we would love to have it and share it with some of your friends. And don't forget, you can always send us your questions through the Birds on a Wire app. And there's a section called Ask Karen. You type those in, she'll answer them.
I will.
There you go.
Every month.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.